This is why people vote for Trump. They say in politics, liberals are the gas pedal and conservatives are the brakes. And I'm generally with the gas pedal, but not if we're driving off a cliff. On the trans issue, America is no ands, ifs, or buts about it, absolutely alone in the world now, an outlier country. Last month, England's National Health Service announced that there's not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness of puberty blockers for third grade.
Bill Maher calls out Canada's woke utopia. Myth for years, many progressives have painted Canada as the ideal society, calm, fair, and everything America should be. But Bill Maher isn't buying IT. In a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, he tore into the idea of Canada as a perfect woke paradise. With his trademark humor and blunt honesty, Maher said it's time to stop pretending Canada has it all figured out. Every country, he argued, has its flaws, and turning Canada into some moral example for the world just doesn't match reality. Maher's message was simple but sharp. Admire other countries if you want, but don't turn them into myths.
Canada was where every woke white college kid wearing pajama pants outdoors who'd had it up to here with America's racist patriarchy dreamt of living someday. I mean, besides Gaza. There's only one problem with thinking everything's better in Canada. It's not. Not anymore, anyway. Last year, Canada added 1.3 million people, which is a lot in 1 year, the equivalent of the U.S. adding 11 million migrants in 1 year. And now they're experiencing a housing crisis even worse than ours. And we're sleeping in tents.
Maher exposes Canada's housing crisis reality right from the start. Bill Maher takes aim at the rosy picture the woke left painted Canada, and he doesn't hold back. His first target is the country's worsening housing crisis, which he links to Canada's wide-open immigration policies that many U.S. progressives love to praise. But Maher points out the harsh truth. Canada is facing a housing shortfall of about 3.5 million homes by 2030, a shortage so severe it makes California's real estate troubles look mild. Even now, more than 20% of Canadian households spend over 30% of their income just to afford housing. Despite these grim numbers, Maher says, some people still treat Canada like it's a model society. He doesn't just question that belief. He completely dismantles it.
Median price of a home here is $346,000. In Canada, converted to U.S. dollars, it's $487,000. If Barbie moved to Winnipeg, she wouldn't be able to afford her dream house, and Ken would be working at Tim Hortons.
Maher points to Canada's soaring home prices. Maher doesn't just mention Canada's housing shortage. He shows how expensive homes there really are. The average house costs around $500,000 to $540,000, while in cities like Vancouver and Toronto, prices often pass $750,000 and can hit over $1 million USD to BY comparison. U.S. homes average between $350,000 and $400,000, a big difference that makes Canada's dream look far less appealing. Maher's message is clear. If America copies Canada's model, it won't mean cheaper living. It'll mean being priced out of your own home.
And because of mortgage debt, Canada has the highest debt-to-GDP ratio of any G7 nation. I don't know what that means, but it sounds bad. So does their vaunted healthcare system, which ranks dead last among high-income countries in access to primary healthcare and ability to see a doctor in a day or two. And it's not for lack of spending. Of the 30 countries with universal coverage, Canada spends over 13% of its economy on it, which is a lot of money for free healthcare.
Maher shatters the perfect Canada. Illusion Canada's issues run far deeper than many liberal admirers care to admit, and Maher isn't afraid to say it. What makes his words cut deeper is that he's not a conservative. He's a long-time liberal voice. That's why his criticism lands with extra force. When someone like Bill Maher starts questioning Canada's woke utopia, it's not a minor jab. It's a wake-up call. He's not ranting for ratings. He's holding up a mirror to America and asking, is this really what you want to become? Because if Canada is the model, Maher warns, then the U.S. should be ready for sky-high housing costs, broken promises, and plenty of regret. And judging by his tone, he's only getting warmed up.
Look, I'm not saying Canada still isn't a great country. It is, but those aren't paradise numbers. If Canada was an apartment, the lead feature might be America adjacent. And if America was a rental car, Canada would be America or similar. And again, honestly, Canada, I'm not saying any of this because I enjoy it. I don't, because I've always enjoyed you. But I need to cite you as a cautionary tale to help my country. And the moral of that tale is, yes, you can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right.
Maher isn't going conservative. The left just moved no. Bill Maher hasn't turned conservative. He's simply reacting to how far the left has drifted. When longtime liberals start speaking out, it's not a change in values. It's frustration with the extremes. Joe Rogan and Elon Musk face the same thing. Once praised by progressives, now labeled right-wing for questioning woke ideas. Maher's in that group too. He hasn't changed much, but the left moved so far that staying reasonable now looks conservative.
It's worse. Canada is what American voters think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness. Like the saga of Canadian shop teacher Kayla Lemieux, whose pronouns are she, her, and those. Kayla is now back to being a guy named Kerry, but 2 years ago, when they showed up to teach children, the progressive high school they taught at said that they, the school, not the person. Really, you couldn't have found another word. We were using that one. Anyway, okay. They were committed to a safe environment for gender expression. Safe for who? What about the children?
Maher exposes the chaos behind Canada's progressive dream. Maher argues this is what happens when society lets anyone redefine reality and expects everyone else to just go along. The result, he says, is confusion. He points to a striking classroom example. Students couldn't tell whether their teacher was male or female. One day, the teacher arrived addressed, asking to be treated as a woman. The next, he returned identifying as a man, leaving students completely lost. This isn't education, Maher suggests. It's theater and not the good kind. When identity changes daily, clarity disappears, and kids are left unsure what to believe. And these aren't isolated moments. They're happening in Canada, the country many American liberals still treat as a model society. Behind the image of progress, Maher sees high housing costs, confused classrooms, and political experiments gone wrong. His message is blunt. If this is what a woke utopia looks like, it's built on chaos, not progress. Before anyone calls it a model for America, maybe it's time to take a closer look.
This is why people vote for Trump. They say in politics, liberals are the gas pedal and conservatives are the brakes. And I'm generally with the gas pedal, but not if we're driving off a cliff. On the trans issue, America is no ands, ifs, or buts about it, absolutely alone in the world now, an outlier country. Last month, England's National Health Service announced that there's not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness of puberty blockers for third graders.
Maher says Trump's rise was a reaction, not a fluke. Maher argues that Donald Trump didn't win by accident. He won because many Americans, including moderates and former liberals, were fed up with the left's obsession with wokeness and identity politics. The Democratic Party, he says, turned into a stage for cancel culture and virtue signaling. People got tired of being lectured instead of led. Even younger voters, once seen as the party's base, began losing interest. Americans don't want politics that feels like a classroom. They want leadership. And when Democrats fail to offer that, Maher says, they made it easy for Trump to walk right into the White House.
So too with all the other good place countries, in direct opposition to America's choice to affirm children's wishes on switching gender, no matter the age or psychiatric history. The far left, which always like to use, well, Europe does it. Yeah, no, that doesn't work on this one anymore. Or on immigration. Sweden opened its borders to over 1.5 million immigrants since 2010, and now 20% of its citizens are foreign-born, and its education system is tanking.
True. Maher warns, chaos isn't compassion. Maher doesn't mince words. Letting anyone cross the border without control isn't compassion, it's chaos. And America is already seeing the fallout. Fentanyl use and smuggling have surged in recent years, turning into a national crisis. Families are being torn apart, neighborhoods are suffering, and too many young lives are being lost. He argues that everyday Americans are paying the price for reckless border policies that the left defends in the name of compassion. But what kind of compassion, Maher asks, leaves children overdosing in schools and parents burying their kids? His message is blunt. A nation that can't secure its borders can't protect its people. And without safety, there's no peace, just disorder disguised as policy. Maher's broader point hits hard. From housing costs to identity confusion, from border breakdowns to drug deaths, the so-called woke utopia is falling apart. America doesn't need to copy that model. It needs real leadership balance and common sense. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.